Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right. Well, we did it, folks. Right? Made it through 2020, right? Which was certainly a turbulent and trying year, and an incredibly important year, right? What do we say that 2020 was all about? 2020 vision, right? About us uncovering what had previously not been seen or made aware of, right? So yeah, it was incredibly important along those lines, right? We've seen just about what's what and who's who. Those who cared to pay attention, those who've been able to look with a discerning eye, and those who have come far enough along in their spiritual journey, right? In their evolution, in their progression, whatever you want to call or term that. Certainly we have seen, witnessed, learned, and gained a lot in 2020, right? I think a lot of people, a whole lot of people in this country became acutely aware of the farce that is our political system, right? I think a lot of folks are keenly aware of the fact that, you know, politicians are essentially out for themselves and the interests that they represent more specifically, right? We're talking about the interests of those elites, those socioeconomic elites that we've previously identified, right? That's the truth of the matter, you know. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Republicans or Democrats. You are talking about two different sides of the same coin, and they just keep flipping you, right? But folks are pretty tired of being flipped. So that is a big progression in itself, because in doing so, right, when we talk about these politicians, unfortunately, we're talking about the folks that we have sort of divvied our power out to, right? We have externalized our power and given it to them, or at least the facade of the offices that they hold, right? And that's over, right? For the most part, people are ready for vast change in that whole arena. And I think along with that particular institution in 2020, we learned a lot about all of our institutions, right? Religious institutions, educational institutions, agriculture, finance, right? Every institution that touches our lives, right, and in so many ways influences the way that we live our lives on a daily basis, is in question by a great number of folks, and rightly so. And in fact, it's about time, right, that we have waken up to at least question. You know, not everyone is of the same opinion, and that's fine. We never will be all of the same opinion, and shouldn't be, because then we lose the important benefit of our diversity, right? We don't need everyone. I think sometimes when we, and I hope that I'm not being misunderstood this way, but I think that sometimes when we hear the term unity consciousness, or even if we talk, you know, about collectiveness, right, that people are of the assumption that that means everyone has to be of the same opinion. Not so, right? Again, and if that were the case, we lose the benefit of our diversity, which is what makes us all so special in the first place. We are all individual expressions of our creator's energy, right? In truth. And there's a reason why we were all created and expressed individually. And it's beautiful if you really take a deep look at our incredible diversity. The way that we process information. Um, you can have 30 people witness an event and go around and get the opinion of all 30 of those folks, on what they just saw, and you're going to get a varying description, and that's not a knock on our ability to be accurate with relaying information as much as it is evidentiary of the way in which we process information differently. We're all, in that instance, receiving the same stimuli, but simply interpreting it in varying ways, which is beautiful. And again, the benefit of our diversity is why we're able to come up with um, uh, so many incredible new creations, right? And new inventions, new technologies, new sciences, new areas of science disciplines we delve into. All of that is part of the benefit of our diversity, right? So we never want to lose that. And that is not what is meant by unity consciousness. It's certainly not what I mean by it, right? What I mean by unity consciousness is that with every decision that we make, we are now conscious that now it impacts not only ourselves, but in some way, shape, or form, all of the collective, right? So we're just cognizant of that, and it aids us in more holistic decision making, right? In more responsible decision making, right? Because we're not only thinking from a selfish perspective. We don't lose our perspective of self, right? We still have that. But we also are able to be inclusive of collective impact, right, in our decision-making process. That's an important advancement, right, for our civilization. We have to have that because it's in that we'll find the ability to stop killing each other over our differences, right? It's simply not civilized. It's not. It's really not. It's though tragic and devastating often in the way it plays out. Conceptually, it's all immature. More specifically, it's spiritually immature, and we have to advance past all of that. And the signs are pointing that we certainly are, right? Man, especially if you pay attention to the youth. Look at all the things they did in 2020, right? How they spoke up in 2020 about the world that they see now and the world that they want to bring into fruition, and their determination to do so. So, if you ask me, the world is in great hands, right? Um, the old adage again, the children are our future, truly. And our future's in great hands. Um, they have me incredibly encouraged, right? So that's a beautiful thing. Um, I think one of the biggest things that we gained in 2020 was a lot of folks were sort of forced, I hate to say, to have a more open mind, because there are too many discrepancies in the things that we had come to believe. So it caused us to finally question that in itself, believing rather than doing a little investigation independently with a free-thinking, open mind and finding out for ourselves and gaining knowledge to know, right? And I think a lot of people in 2020 gain the inclination to not just believe, but to know, right? And the willingness to do a little research and work in order to find that out. And a big part of that was trusting in the process of looking within yourself. I think a great deal of us learned a lot about doing that in 2020. So we, in a nutshell, folks, we came a long way, right? We should really be happy. I know we lost a lot of folks, you know. Um, I was going to say sadly, but honestly, I don't look at death the same way I did. It's sad and it is painful for the folks who are left behind, right? The survivors, quote unquote. They're the ones who deal with the pain of that separation. Um, because quite honestly, once you leave out of your physical, you also leave all of that behind, right? All those feelings of pain and remorse and mourning and all of the lower vibrational frequencies. Um, you leave that behind in the spiritual, right? Um, you are not impacted by that in the same way. Um, but that's a whole, I don't want to get into a whole nother video. But yeah, a lot of folks really, I think opened up their mind and gained some tools to help them to deal with a lot of those things a lot differently in 2020. Because unfortunately, we lost in numbers, at least the way well, I won't get into the reasons and the way that numbers were skewed in different ways, but bottom line, we did lose a lot of folks in 2020 for one reason or another. A lot of it associated with this pandemic, right? And a lot of that was very ugly. Very, very, very ugly, which brought to light, to attention of a lot of us, the desperate, ugly nature of the elites to hold on to that old paradigm and to what dastardly lengths that they would go to, right? And are prepared to and plan to attempt to go to. They won't be successful. They will not be successful. And in fact, very soon here going forward, we're going to see an energetic shift in the planet where, and this is not, again, folks, we put terms on things, we say, metaphysical, esoteric, or even, conspiracy theory, or all these different terms, right? But quite honestly, particularly on my channel and many of the channels, if you just do a little bit of free-thinking, open-minded research, the actual data and information is right there. When I say that the planet is increasing its vibrational frequency, that's not because I'm, feeding off of some conspiracy theory or that I am, lost in some optimistic dream world, right? No, the scientific data is there that this planet has experienced an incredible increase or an incredible raising of its vibrational frequency, and it's directly measurable in the Schumann resonance. And that's not even the only way that it's measurable, but that's the most commonly scientifically accepted, right? If you want to lean on that. So, I mean, this stuff is undeniable at this point. And that's another beautiful thing that I have found in watching a lot of other individuals on YouTube is that, you see the benefit of their research and work. With these videos, they go into incredible detail and reveal, uncover, and decode some incredibly important information. We got privy to information in 2020 that the wool has been pulled over our eyes for centuries. Literally. And if nothing else important happened in 2020, that is immense in itself in terms of importance, right? We literally became privy to things that had been the wool pulled over our eyes about, right? Had been kept hidden from us in secret and you know, had been plotted on by folks in suits and in smoky rooms, right? Uh, uh, and carried out though in our daily lives, right? Um, and we learned about all of that. Anyone who wanted to, or anyone who gave even the slightest effort to. Um, you know, it's like if you, the way 2020 unfolded in terms of the information becoming available, if you stuck a toe down the rabbit hole, you fell on in, right? Um, and that's a beautiful thing. So 2020 gave us incredible awareness, and a lot of things became uncovered. Now, you know, there's still a little more to come, right? There'll still be things that'll slowly be uncovered, but the bulk of which, the major areas, right? We learned about, you know, all the dark things that were going on. You know, these pedophilia rings, the adrenochrome rings, and what that's all about, and how incredibly inhuman, evil, sadistic, demonic, whatever negative term you can put on it, that whole industry is all about, that sick addiction is about. Um, we learned about that. We learned about the secret societies and you know how, yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories or misinformation that's put out there, but we were given enough clues to put together the dots and enough information to uncover, yeah, well, you know, what have they been keeping secret, right? It's, you know, it's not a anything that can be denied that secret societies exist. They actually, if you do even, again, the slightest bit of research, secret societies have existed on this planet for thousands of years, right? I think what started to come out in 2020 was The Secret, right? And the potential of men and women to evolve on this planet, and much more rapidly at this time, right now, because of the energies that we're being exposed to in this particular portion of the galaxy. Folks, again, a lot of us are cognizant of and think about, you know, the cycles that we use for our time, like, you know, our day cycle, the revolution of our planet on its axis, right? The cycle of our uh, our uh, our months, our lunar cycles, right? The cycles of our uh, planet going around its full orbit around the sun gives us our year, right? Those cycles we're cognizant of, but we need to keep in mind our entire solar system at the same time is orbiting the center of the galaxy, right? That is happening and always has been and shall be, right? And that has brought us to an incredible area of the galaxy that is caused us to be exposed to incredible energies that are profoundly affecting every inhabitant of this planet, specifically mammals, and most specifically and most incredibly people, right? Average everyday men and women are being changed by these energies, right? Now there are, and those, you know, we've even uncovered that the secret societies have known that this is something that's going to take place for quite some time. And that all of these things that we have learned about have nefariously been taking place behind our backs. The poisoning of our food supply, the poisoning of our water supply, our air supply, right? The calcification agents made pervasive in our food supply, air supply, and water supply, right? And why they want to keep our pineal organs calcified, or try and calcify them further, um, you know, with our true human or true potential as each individual, right? In this physical form truly is, as we incorporate more of our spiritual energy into our bodies, right? As we evolve more rapidly, true indeed, as a result of this beautiful time that we, in this beautiful place that we are at in this galaxy. It's commonly referred to as the Aquarian Age, which would be true if you take a look um, uh, zodiologically, right? Um, this is something, this time is something that has not been overlooked. And we see the desperate measures that have been taken, and fortunately, we do see them for what they are. Most of us, there's still, hey, listen, I understand. There's still a lot of folks in the dark, and the truth of that in this whole experience is it's all about spiritual maturity. Not everyone will gain or has come